911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey everybody, it's good to see you all. How are you? I didn't know it was a late thumbnail going up about my live, so I didn't know how many people would get that notification. YouTube's funny about that sometimes, so I'm really happy to see you all. Thank you so much. Hey Frank Meister, how are you, my friend? Hey Dee, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome, Lisa. Always good to see you. Hey, Purdue. So missed you. How are you? How are you, lady? I hope you're well and staying warm. Hi, Sharon. How are you doing? Everybody's trying to stay well, I think, and warm. Hey, 63 Clocks, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, Tech Death, how are you, my friend? It's good to see you. I've been thinking about you a lot lately. Hi, Melissa. Hope you're well, my dear. Good to see you. Hi, Sees Through. How are you? So good to have you with me tonight. Hey, Lynn. Welcome, welcome. Thanks, Purdue. I'm feeling really great. I'm really feeling good. I did get some news last week. It looks like I'm going to need my knee replaced. Sadly. But at the same time, I'm really looking forward to getting that behind me, getting recovered and moving on, and being so much more active than I've been able to be for the last 3 years. My knee is just really in bad shape. Even though I'm still working out, I'm still doing all the things, and, trying to stay in the gym and do the stuff that I need to do to continue my journey downward. I'm 164 pounds down since December of 2022. So I am happy with that. I've lost a whole person and found myself in the process. I'm feeling my whole aura is feeling extremely healed and positive, and that I love about it. Today was probably the most stressful, anxiety-filled day that I've had in a very, very long time. And it was all because my router and my internet modem all went down at the exact same time. They all decided to die at the exact same time. So I would have had my thumbnail and stuff up for my live stream early this morning, but I didn't get my internet back and everything working until almost 6:30, quarter to 7 my time. So about an hour ago. So that's kind of, today was a lot. It really was. I was, I'm not put together. This is my gym hair. It's just, I'm just here. I really wanted to be here. I've missed you guys. I wanted to talk about what's coming up on Thursday, and yeah, and just talk about some things. There's just so much going on. And even though I'm not here as much, and even though things seem to be kind of quiet in the case, things are not quiet in the Delphi world and in the Delphi community. There's just all kinds of things going on. And, we talk about that every time we all get together. But I've been, staying up on my lives. I've been watching. I kind of lurk in the back of Steve, True Crime Web's live streams. I've been watching some of his on replay. But I try to stay in contact with the creators that I do follow and that are close to me. I just spoke to GonZo earlier this evening. And so, yeah. And Frank Meister, he is always right there if I need him for anything. Frank, thank you so much for having my back and just being there to keep me updated when I need to be, when something important is happening in the community. I always know that he or Deb from True Crime Notebook will always keep me in the loop. Now, I don't know where the rumor got started, but Deb texted me, I don't remember, over the weekend or last week, and said that there was a rumor in the community that I was in the hospital. Totally not true, you guys. Just a rumor. I am fine. I've been fine. But I am going to need to have the surgery. So I see the orthopedic surgeon for the replacement on the 7th of February. So we'll know more. I'll know more then as far as what's going to happen, when we're going to be looking at getting it done. I'm hoping that I'll be all healed up by summer. That's my goal. I know there's a lot of physical therapy to get back, but I'm willing to put in the work. So I hope everybody's doing well. I reached out to Becky the last couple of days. I just wanted to check in and see how she was. I knew a lot is going on. You know, they're getting ready to have this hearing in Indianapolis on Thursday. So I knew that there was probably a lot of things weighing in on her mind. And I just wanted to check in and make sure she was doing okay. And so I did do that as well. Hey, Gail, how are you? Welcome. Welcome, welcome. So good to see you here. I hope everybody is staying warm in this bitter, bitter, cold event that we're having here in the Midwest. It's been kind of crazy. I was going to look real quick. Oh, Purdue, thank you so much for the tea. I love you, girl. I love my tea. Hold on a second here. I wanted to give you guys just a quick update on what it's like here for everybody in Indiana. We're pretty much the same, but right now it's 6 degrees outside, and we have a wind chill. It looks like of -10 right now, and it's supposed to be -10 to -20 wind chills by morning. So, hey, Rescue, how are you, my dear? How are you? Sees through. Frank told me that the details of the plea deal are sealed. So we don't know what the terms are. Hey, CJK, how are you? I'm not sure I understand, but okay. I'm so excited about college basketball right now. I can't even. I just can't even. I'm just telling you. So, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, I feel very, very special that you're watching me and the game. That kind of makes me happy. So, so everybody is aware that on Thursday, the Indiana Supreme Court is going to be hearing the oral arguments regarding the Richard Allen issues. And, you know, they gave everybody, I believe, Frank, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that they're giving everybody a 30 minutes of speaking time for these arguments. So it's not going to be like they can just talk and talk and talk. They better have all their ducks in a row. Everybody better be on point. Because whenever you go to argue anything before the Supreme Court, whether it be the U.S. Supreme Court or your Supreme Court in your state, you have to be on point. You have to have things pretty well, all spelled out, and you can't just really kind of whitewash everything and wing it, so to speak. They should have been preparing for this for a while. And from my understanding, most of the time you want someone to do the arguments and present them that has done it before or that has had some experience in that capacity. So it will be real interesting. They are streaming it, so we will get to watch it. Don't know if that will happen actually on a live kind of situation, but it sounds like it will be. Of course, our dear Frank Meister is going to be there, and he will be our eyes and ears. Yeah, it's 30 minutes a piece they each get. And so it should go for pretty fast. Hey, Daisy, good to see you. Long time no see. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. It should go pretty rapidly. I don't expect them to rule tomorrow or on Thursday. Most of the time they don't rule. They listen to everything and then they come back with their whatever it is they are going to do. I do think, and I did speak to my really good friend who's a judge, and he told me that they should respond rapidly on this because it's a criminal case and the criminal case is being held up because of this situation. Hey, Cecil, how are you? Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. That's awesome, Daisy. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're always watching. That's really great. I love everybody who watches on replay. We all can't be here for lives. And, you know, I'm one of those replay girls as well. I have to watch a lot of my favorite stuff on replay. So I totally and absolutely understand. I appreciate everyone who supports the channel in any way that they can. I just do. I appreciate that. I had a friend of mine reach out. I think it was yesterday afternoon, and she asked me that she wanted to know if a documentary had ever been done on the girls. And I said, well, HLN did a documentary called Down the Hill. And I told her about that. And so she was watching it today, and she emailed me while she was watching it. And she said, this really brings this case more to true life when you watch that and you see the location, because she's been there. She was there with me and my daughter. And so, yeah, you know, I think it does give you a whole different perspective when you've actually been to the community, to Delphi, and when you go and actually walk the trail the girls walked and go onto that bridge. Yeah, CJK, absolutely agree with you. Very concerning. This is for whatever reason, this is the way society is right now and has been for quite some time. But it seems like people are just, you know, able to just, you know, spew all these kinds of hate and threats and get away with it. And it's very sad. Hey, 63 Clocks, thank you so much for gifting a membership. You guys make sure you go out and check to see. It looks like somebody has gotten a free membership for a month from 63 Clocks. So appreciate you. So appreciate you. And, you know, I don't know what the answer is, you guys, honestly, to this predicament that we're in. But I know that when we talk about true crime in general, and we're looking at all these different cases, and you're looking at the communities, whether it be, you know, on Facebook or Instagram or, you know, YouTube or Reddit or where, you know, TikTok, wherever you follow your true crime cases and information, it doesn't matter. There is just these people that follow these cases, and we can call them trolls, we can call them all kinds of things, but they're up to no good, and they're not there to spread awareness and to make people aware of things. They're there to cause issues. Frank says he can't wait to stand in line on Thursday. I bet you can. It's going to be cold. I hope you dress for it. Make sure you do. Hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer on Thursday than it's going to be today and tomorrow. And there is a movement. There's definitely a movement against her and the prosecution. And I believe that it was put in place and started by the defense. Nobody's going to really change my mind on that unless they show me proof that it wasn't. Because I think this is their way of muddying the water and trying to get the focus off of Richard Allen's guilt and onto other things. And that's what they're paid to do. It's, I'm sure that it's going to be interesting to see who gets tickets on Thursday, because they have to apply. They had to apply for tickets, correct, Frank? So not everybody's going to get seated, and not everybody's going to get to be able to be in there. So it will be interesting to see how that all plays out, and actually who shows up to be there. That's going to be interesting as well. I was looking the writ, the oral arguments for the writ on Thursday are related to the second writ that was sent to the Supreme Court on reinstating the former counsel, Rosie and Baldwin. And they also on setting a trial within 70 days and removing Judge Gull. So those are the issues that will be dealt with on Thursday. And it starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I wanted to check that real quick. Yeah. And it's going to be in the courtroom of the Indiana Supreme Court, which is at the State House on Washington Street in Indianapolis. The argument is going to be a total of 1 hour, 60 minutes. 60 minutes or 1 hour. And it will be equally divided between the relator, which is Richard Allen, and the parties opposing the writ. Any entity granted amicus curiae status may argue without further motion, but only with the consent of the party with whom the amicus curiae is substantively aligned. The relator shall open the argument and may conclude the argument by reserving part of the relator's time for rebuttal, but before beginning their argument. Notwithstanding the original act, R4C appearance by the respondents or counsel is required. The attorneys of record shall file an acknowledgement of the hearing no later than 5 days after the service of the order. And everybody was notified of this on the 11th of December. So I believe that, everybody should be there and be ready for all of this. And, whatever the outcome is, that happens on Thursday, I think we all still just need to remember that the focus should be on Abby and Libby and achieving justice for them, and not so much on how we feel the outcome should be. Because even if Judge Gull was to be removed, rather than be upset or angry about that type of thing happening, we should remain positive and move forward as the case moves forward in hopes of achieving justice for Abby and Libby. I think that the Supreme Court will be fair and will listen with open ears to both sides in this. And like I said, it really shouldn't be whether or not you're for this side or that side. It should be about the law and whether any rights were violated here. And did Judge Gull follow the letter of the law when she removed the attorneys and for the reasons that she gave? And I just don't think that it does anybody any good to argue anymore about these types of proceedings. To me, it's pointless in the scheme of things, because no matter what, we need a judge in this case. No matter what, we need attorneys that are going to represent Richard Allen and give him the best possible defense. And that's what I want for. I just want justice. That's all. And whoever set out to divide the community has done a really good job of doing it, because this community is, instead of being united for justice for Abby and Libby, it has become a divided community. And it just seems to be the way of the world these days, that there's just people out there that want to divide everyone. And I don't understand that really, but I mean, oh, wow, Gail. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything goes well. Hey, Miranda, how are you? And Produce says, agree, Kristen, I do not want Richard Allen's defense team to get any more publicity than minimal necessary. So over the predictable antics these attorneys are doing, I realize they are doing their jobs. They are. They're doing their jobs, but you know, there's a lot that can be said about the old attorneys and what was really behind a lot of what they did. And you know, the things that kind of happened with the dissemination of the crime scene photos and all of that. I still find it very, very hard to buy that they didn't know that this was happening and that they just left these out for anybody and everybody to possibly walk in and peruse and see, and not just see, but be able to take photographs of them. You know, I hope, if anything, they did learn their lesson. Frank says, I do want to make something clear. People have been asking why Gull hasn't ruled on any motions that have been filed since the Supreme Court intervened, so the case is at a standstill. Yes, Judge Gull cannot do anything until this has been resolved. Oh, Miranda, you are so sweet. Thank you so much. Um, I get a lot of compliments on my sweater. I love this sweater. It's so comfortable and warm. So, Gail, you will be in my prayers, my dear friend. Um, and I hope that you do feel better soon and that you heal quickly. Yep. So Gaul can't rule on anything until the Supreme Court makes their rulings. That's correct. Basically, when all of this transpired and they sent this to the Supreme Court, and once the Supreme Court agreed to hear the writs, that stopped the case in its tracks. And that is, again, one of the reasons why I feel that they will be quick and swift in their rulings about these motions, because they're going to want to get this case back on track. Yeah, the older we get, the harder it is to heal. That is for sure. That is for sure. Make sure that you're getting in plenty of protein, because that really helps with healing. And, our body doesn't store protein. We only get protein from what we eat every day. So make sure that you're getting your protein in. So how are you guys feeling about the case in general? Are you guys worried about this? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have said that, there will be no justice in this case if Richard Allen is innocent, and that he would have also been a victim, and, his family will have been victims, and his loved ones are impacted. And I think everyone would agree with that. But one of the things that I want to say and I want to put out there, when you look at statistics, and I know there are people that have been in jail or imprisoned that have been found guilty of crimes they did not commit. It is very, very seldom. It isn't as a huge of a deal as some people would like to make it seem. And we as a community don't know the full extent of what evidence they have against Richard Allen, or lack thereof for that matter, until we see it at trial, until it's presented, or he gives a plea or makes a plea. And somebody said to me the other day, well, Kristen, the Faxx motion is still out there. It hasn't been dealt with. And that's true. It is still out there and hasn't been dealt with. But I think the Faxx motion is not going to be dealt with in a way that the defense attorneys was hoping. I just don't. So, most of the time, and I have said this in prior live streams, most of the time, oral arguments in front of the Supreme Court are, especially with something like this, is unheard of, because this is something that could have actually been handled by an appellate court or by a lower court. And so the Supreme Court is looking at this case because it is so high profile. This is going to put Indiana on a map, and it's going to be in a favorable light or an unfavorable one. And so that is one reason why the Supreme Court took this these writs up. And, you know, for the people out there that are against law enforcement, that are against the powers of judgment, however you want to look at it, whether it be looking at the police and our criminal justice system as the good old boys and all of this. I mean, sure, there are factions of that out there, but are all jurisdictions the good old boys? Absolutely not. We have some very, very respectable and long-term servers of our communities that wear the police uniform. We also have judges that have integrity and believe in justice for all, and that they believe in upholding the Constitution and the constitutional rights of everyone. I'm not going to give up hope in our justice system. I do believe, even though our justice system has issues and has problems and needs things to be fixed, I'm not going to give up on that. Oh, the spiders are doing great. I'll talk to you about my spiders at the end. But thank you, Cecil, for your $2 super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But they're doing very well. And, you know, yes, the new attorneys are following suit with the old attorneys. Now they want him moved again. Now they're trying to get him moved back to Allen County because it's too far for them to drive to see him. I totally get that. I mean, I really do. I totally understand that 6 hours in driving to and from is a lot. It is a lot. But there has to be a reason why the DOT moved him there. And they're trying to keep this man alive, and they're trying to keep him safe. And I firmly believe that. And prisons are not safe places, you guys. That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. And people die in prison every day at the hands of other inmates. Every day in this country. Well, all over the world in prisons. They, you know, is it fair that he's actually being held and incarcerated in a prison? Well, when you stop and think of how small Carroll County is, and the fact that they don't have enough staff to keep him safe in Carroll County, at least they admitted it. That's a good point, CJK. You know, they don't want to travel, but why not rent a room for a couple of nights a few times a month closer to where he's being held? Their problem is if something arises in the case and they need access to him right away, this presents a problem for them. But in this day and age, with video conferencing and to where it's at, I would think that he would be able to have video conferencing with his attorneys anytime he wanted, and he wouldn't have to physically be with them. And, you know, I went over with you guys, oh gosh, a month or 2 months ago about Judge Gull and all of her credentials. And she is, like I said, on the fast track to being next in line for the Supreme Court of Indiana. I really honestly believe that she did the best job that she could with what she was given. We are not in this position because of anything that Judge Gull did. She's not the one who did all of the infractions that she listed that the defense team had done. They did it. And I would think that she would be derelict in duty if she did not do something about it. And I also think that had she not, it all would have been things that could be overturned on appeal. I mean, you can't just let the defense just go off half-cocked and do whatever the heck they want, even though I think she gave them a broad brush. And Frank's right. I think the Frank's motion is a no deal. I don't think that it's going to matter at all at this point. And 63 Clocks is right. The state of Indiana said they don't have the resources in the local jail, and the court system agreed with them. All states don't have the same resources. All jurisdictions don't have the same resources. Your community depends upon the size of your community, your tax dollars, all of that goes into how your jails are resourced and how many people work there and so on and so forth. And when people don't want their taxes increased, then the first thing they cut is fire and police. So now Frank says he thinks that there's going to be a plea. And I've been hearing that for months. So someone from the Indiana Department of Correction did put out some information about what's allowed and not allowed, and it should put some of the bad rumors to rest if there were a way to share it everywhere. Yeah, for sure. I don't understand why they keep talking about how he's being handled or jailed. The new attorneys said that he's being, they compared it to Hannibal Lecter. Really? I don't think so. See, things like that and saying things like that to me is for shock value only and to get an emotional response. Yeah, I'd be interested to know who thinks there's going to be a plea. Miranda's got a good point. If you guys think there's going to be a plea deal, put a number 1 in the chat. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, Cecil, I didn't think you were a day over 19. Frank says there's not been a precedent set for this type of situation in Indiana. So the Attorney General, Rakuta, used the United States Constitution law showing that Gull had the right to do what she did. So it looks like the majority of my people watching tonight feel there's going to be a plea deal. And what would the only question is, what could they offer in a plea that he would be interested in? Well, they could take death off the table. because that hasn't been discussed yet, you guys. And the death penalty could still be on something that happens in this case. So, a shorter sentence. I mean, there's a lot of things that they could give, but I look for the sentence in this case to be life, without the possibility of parole. And I just don't see the family accepting much of anything else. That's just me. Agreed, Len. Yeah, too many people think that he shouldn't be shackled and shouldn't have cuffs and chains and all of that. This man has been accused of murder, not just one murder, but 2 children. When you have those kinds of accusations against you, you have to be careful. And jails and prisons have learned the hard way, when you allow prisoners to not be shackled or restricted, they end up paying for it. And so they've learned over time, this is what we have to do. Tech says to turn in his accomplice. That could be on the table. Yeah, I can't see anybody agreeing to anything less than life without parole, period. I mean, it's, and yeah, is it hard on his family because he's so far away from them? I'm sure. He is shackled because of the prison rules. It is a rule. Exactly. And, I've often wondered that too, Purdue. How many times does he have to confess before they believe that he did it? And there's so many people out there that don't believe those confessions. And that's, to me, what's kind of crazy, and it's in and of itself. I would see that. I could understand that if he had confessed during an interrogation that had gone on for days or whatever, or if he confessed, to prison guards, or if he had confessed to law enforcement, but he didn't. He confessed to his wife and his mother. Oh, thanks, CJK. Let me take a look. Hmm. um, okay. So it says, I want to share a few things about our county security centers in Indiana. So, county jails. Yes, they have rooms that an attorney can meet with their client. These rooms are videotaped, not audio taped. That was one of the complaints filed by both sets of attorneys. That won't change even if he is moved to a county. Also, our newer correctional centers do not have play yards in them. They are actually pods that are built off-site brought in and set into the walls of the security centers. In June, there was a hearing on safekeeping for Richard Allen. It was discussed if the IDOC does not house Allen, he will be returned to Carroll County, and Allen is the responsibility of the Carroll County Sheriff. Throughout the state of Indiana, our county jails, our state prisons are all understaffed. I understand Richard Allen's attorneys want him closer to work with him, but the sheriff is an elected official. A sheriff can refuse to hold any inmate that they don't have charges on in their county. Then comes the transportation to and from court. The transportation of Richard Allen will be up to Carroll County if he is moved to a county facility. Again, to safely move any inmate and an inmate in a high-profile case, you simply can't put one county correctional officer in a vehicle with him and expect him to be safely transported. They wouldn't do that with Richard Allen or any other inmate. These things have to be dealt with, and the timing of the latest filing in question with the upcoming hearings scheduled for Thursday. So that's pretty standard, I think, you guys, for most part, around the entire country. Like I said, there are standards. The Bureau of Prisons have standards, and not everybody has to follow them, obviously. Every state has their own Bureau of Prisons, but they're doing the best they can with such a high-profile defendant. Now, I did hear that the woman who was charged with murder, I can't remember if it was her boyfriend or who it was, but there's a young woman who's been charged with murder in Indiana. I heard that that Baldwin is now her attorney. I did hear that. Hey, Shadowbox, how are you? So good to see you, my dear. I trust you. I know. I mean, I have been feeling it for the last 5 days. I haven't really left the house much because it is so blistering cold out there, and the cold air doesn't do well for my asthma. So I just try to, I haven't had any issues with my asthma, but I don't want to have. So, but yeah, I mean, it's cold. It is so cold out there, and we've got snow, plenty of snow. Everything's frozen. Yeah, I know, Miranda. I thought the same thing. I wouldn't either. And we heard about how great he was and all of this, and I'm thinking, no. So hopefully these same people feel sorry for him. Really puts himself on the bridge, time of the murders, dressed like bridge guy, gun like unspent casing, confesses to his wife and mother. These are facts. Yes, he is not guilty until he's taken to court and proven in a court of law. But the evidence that we know of so far is pretty solid, in my opinion. It only takes that one juror and he will walk. And I think he's going to chance it. No plea. I hope I'm wrong. Yes, Cecil, I kind of feel the same way. I think that that's what he's being advised by these attorneys that he has. I think the attorneys are telling him that he has a good chance of getting acquitted because they only have to convince one person of his innocence. Yes, people are sending Richard Allen money to his corrections account. Yeah. It makes you wonder about society and the people that live in it with us and that live amongst us. That is for sure. We all have to ask ourselves sometimes, you know, where do these people come up with this stuff? Um, um, I do have a question for you guys, and this was one thing that I've been watching a lot of Gray Hughes lately when it comes to the Idaho case. And he's been doing some really good work on that case, I think. But one of the things that I've gone back to on his channel was I was looking at his crime flow map where he has the people that are walking and all of the different people in all the different spots. And when I sit there and I look at that, you guys, hang on a second. I want to see if I can get this pulled up for us. Give me one moment. Because it'll be easier for me to talk about if I show it to you. I'm going to share my screen with you. So on this map, can you guys see this? Is this big enough? Do you need me to make it bigger? So we have, here's the CPS building or the Family and Children Office. Here is the Freedom Bridge, which crosses over 25. And then this is the trail on the other side that goes into town. And this is where the Mears, this is the Mears lot here. This is the Hoosier Harvest Store right here. And then we have the Monon High Bridge here. We have the Delphi Cemetery here. And this is where the girls were found. Everybody on the page with me? So my question is this to you guys. Why did Richard Allen park at the CPS building instead of parking at the cemetery? The cemetery is just a couple minutes of walk from where the crime occurred. If it was his intention to lead them across that creek and into those woods, why would he have parked 20 minutes away at the CPS building? Because it's a 20-minute walk back. Probably well over 20 minutes. And it's in plain sight of anyone driving on 300 North. Whereas at the cemetery, there are places of cover where you can actually park, where somebody driving on 300 North would not even see a car parked. The cemetery is so adjacent to the woods right there, it would make it almost impossible for anyone to see you walking back up that hill from that crime scene. I just wondered what your guys' thoughts are on that. What if he parked there because he was never planning on killing anyone? Very good point. That is absolutely horrible. His constitutional rights are so important. I so agree with that statement. I do. They are very, very important. And they constantly have to be upheld. And I do believe that. But they do not outweigh what happened to those two girls. And I can't believe that anyone would say that. Shadowbox says, I can't make heads or tails of it, but I find it hard to believe he didn't have some kind of a plan. Doesn't it make you think that he went there with a plan? Purdue says, I think he had to trap them from the freedom side. He had plans to exit the cemetery all along. So his plans were to exit through the cemetery and just walk along 300 North like, oh, well, no big deal. You think that was his plan? Exactly what he did? Purdue says he planned to kill them. He had a kill kit. Cecil says, occasionally I try a new channel, and as soon as I see a majority or poor Alan, I'm out. Totally get that. He parked across the street, right? He parked here at the family's children office or the CPS office, and he backed his car in up against the side of the building so that the license plate would not show from the street, from 300 North. This is 300 North, you guys, this street right here, or this road, I should say. So that's 300 North. And this is the cemetery. And this is where the girls were found. So he left this area, and and they say he walked out this here and was walking along 300 North when he was spotted by the witness, muddy and bloody. Now, we don't know who else may have spotted him, or if he was spotted on the camera here by the Hoover Harvest Store. I would think that if the Hoover Harvest Store was picking up all of these people's cars that day, they'd also picked up Richard Allen or whomever was walking along 300 North. And we've not been told that, but that's what I mean when I say there is more evidence than what we know about. And Purdue's right. If you were to park in the cemetery, you could get trapped by others. And that's possible. CJK says, I've not seen proof his constitutional rights are ignored. Being held in a prison isn't trampling, in my opinion. He has counsel, and it's by their own shenanigans that caused them to resign. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nope, you're right. He has never truly been without counsel. Everybody needs to be aware of this. Richard Allen is not being represented by private counsel that he paid for. So in other words, if you and I were to get arrested and we were to be facing these same charges, and our family went out and bought an attorney, paid money to them as a retainer, will you please represent Kristen in this matter? That's not what he has. Richard Allen told the court that he was indigent and that he has no money to pay for an attorney. The court deem this to be true. And the Indiana Justice Department, just like the Indiana Justice Department, or excuse me, the justice or judicial system all over our country affords anyone the right to counsel. Even if you cannot afford one, one will be appointed for you. You are entitled to an attorney that's actually passed the bar exam, that's a practicing attorney that has the legal certification of being an attorney. That's afforded to us by the Constitution. And he was given that. So Judge Gull picked those first two attorneys, Rosie and Baldwin, and appointed them. I do not know what time he got there and what route he took from his truck in the cemetery. I don't know that we've ever truly been told that. I just don't know the answer to that question. If somebody in the chat knows, put it in there. And we don't know what cameras were working and wasn't. I will say this, that the rumors in the first year after this happened was that there were no trail cams working. We know that that's not true. We know that there were cameras, maybe not trail cameras, but there were cameras that were working that day. Now, was the camera that was on the Mears barn, because I think they had a camera on the Mears barn that faced the Mears entrance. Did that pick up anything? I don't know. Everything we know in the affidavit tells us it came from the Hoosier Harvest store, but we don't know if there's others. What Walmart woman incident happened? Are you talking about how long before what? Before the crime happened? Yeah, I agree with Frank on this. I don't think they were meant to cross the creek. I think the girls ran. Or it could have been a spur of the moment situation where he ordered them to go across the creek. I don't know. Maybe he heard something. Maybe he heard someone. Maybe something spooked him. We don't know. Was there someone else there? Was there an accomplice? Were they waiting across the creek? We don't know the answers to these questions. I've felt all along, you guys, pretty much since day one, that this was a one and done type of a deal where this guy committed this crime himself as a lone wolf. I've never truly felt that there was anybody else there that day. I know that there is a lot of conversation out there that shows that it's possible. And yes, it is very possible, and I could be wrong, but my gut doesn't tell me I am. And I just, until I see more evidence pointing of that, I'm sticking with the fact that he was a lone wolf on this. Wasn't there a caretaker at the cemetery that day? I don't know. I'm still suspicious of the Weber's son. That garage was searched many times. Hey, Stephanie, good to see you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't know why they went back so many times to the Webers. Something law enforcement saw, found, or whatever kept leading them back to the Webbers' garage. Now, there was a caretaker at the cemetery. I don't know, was he an exterminator, a mole exterminator or something? And I remember him being said that he went to law enforcement with something that he felt that he saw that they needed to know about. So, I mean, we have all of these presumed people that we've heard about over the years. Cheyenne's friend, Daniel Pearson's friend that he was there with, the McCains, all these people, but law enforcement has never confirmed that these people were there. So again, you guys, that's information that will come out at trial. And I still feel that there's a lot of different things that could have transpired that caused the crimes flow to go down the way it did. But I also still have kept my box open to the fact that there may be a piece of this crime that we're missing. And I still think that the alibi for Ron Logan was because Ron Logan was afraid of getting caught driving. I don't think it has anything to do with the girls, but that's just me. I could be wrong with that. I just don't think Ron Logan has anything to do with this. I think it's a coincidence that he was out that day, went to the trash dump, knew that he was going to get in trouble for driving. And once this crime happened, he knew they were going to be looking at him. And he needed to find a way to protect himself. What bothers me is that they say that he asked for the alibi from his cousin before the girls were found. So there's pieces that are just missing that we don't know. And there has been so many search warrants, guns tested, people interviewed, and there's only been one arrest. And I believe they have more. I believe that we will find out what it all is in court when we have the trial. For those who don't believe there's going to be a trial, I hope we still get to find out exactly how this crime took place and what happened. And I believe this, I've said this for months now. If law enforcement was trying to patsy somebody for this crime, it wouldn't be Ron Logan, or it wouldn't have been Richard Allen. If they wanted to frame somebody, it would have been Ron Logan. He was the perfect person to do that. So for people to say that they're framing Richard Allen is bogus. Frank says that he believes around 4 p.m. the OB truck was at the cemetery. Ron Logan, it was not a dumb man. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that he would have committed such a crime and left them there. But we don't know. I mean, sometimes things happen that you don't in a murder or in this type of a case. criminals don't always think the best and make the best decisions. You know what I mean? So you would think he would not have left the bodies on his property because it would lead right back to him. But yeah, they didn't find any evidence on Ron. Now, in the very beginning, in the first few weeks after this crime took place, certainly the FBI was looking at Ron Logan because we know that. We know that they thought he was guilty of this crime. But they had no evidence to substantiate it, to bring charges. I firmly believe that the state is confident in the case that they have against Richard Allen. And I don't believe they would have ever brought the charges against him if they weren't. And what sealed it for them was the unspent shell casing matching his gun, him placing himself at the crime scene, at the abduction site, at the time that the girls were taken off that bridge, and him stating that he was wearing the same clothes. Those are the reasons that they said, we got the guy. This is our guy. And when you look at the video of Bridge Guy, I see this man. I see Richard Allen. It was in the FBI affidavit, CJK. It's in the Ron Logan search warrant affidavit. Lynn says they approved the budget a week before his arrest. They knew it was him. I believe they knew they got him. And if you go back and you look at Richard Allen's photographs from Kathy's Facebook page and posts prior to all of this, I mean, I don't know how you can't see that looks just like him, but that's just me. I mean, I'm going to say it like I said it so eloquently that day when they made that arrest. I mean, I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, that's him. I was floored, and I still am, at how much he looks like Bridge Guy. I think that he did well in hiding in plain sight for all of those years. Do I think that somebody may know or may have known, or did they figure it out? It's very possible. Hey, Colette, how are you? Good to see you. I'm doing very well, thank you. So glad to have you. Yes, his short legs and his baggy pants. Yep. Yes, there's a ravine at the cemetery in that corner that goes straight down to the crime scene. And if you remember right, if you look, there's an interview with Barbara McDonald that she did with Ron Logan on his property, and she walks right down the hill right down the hill from that corner with Ron Logan to the crime scene. And it always bothered me because I was like, well, you know, if this is the crime scene and this was all planned, because everybody said that this is all planned, you know, there's so much talk about how this was all planned, and especially if there was others involved. If it was all planned, why the heck park so far away? That doesn't make a lot of sense. And the whole stuff, you're right, Frank, the whole stuff with the Webbers is really interesting. And it makes you wonder what we don't know. And this is where Gail gets it right on the head. Yes, I believe it was him. The girls would have seen someone else at the end of that bridge. There was no one else there. There was no one else there. Everybody else has been accounted for. The only person that was seen that day was not accounted for was Richard Allen, who turns out to be the man on the bridge. Correct? Yes, he's innocent until proven guilty, and I'm well aware. Miranda says, I don't think the FBI thought Ron Logan was guilty. I think they were doing their due diligence and checking him out due to his lies and where the girls were found. And I think you're right. I mean, I think that they said this guy, why is he lying? Why is he doing all these things? And, we need to vet him. And I think they did. And they couldn't pin it on him. They couldn't find any evidence that actually linked him there. True Crime Talk with Frank Meister. Gotcha. Thanks, Frank. Safe travels to you and rescue on Thursday morning. Yes. Rescue. I know you'll be driving, and I want you to take good care getting down there. Yes. Only the Supreme Court website is live streaming it. No one can stream that on their channel. Oh, they better not, or they'll be in big trouble. Yeah, we'll be able to watch it, but we won't be able to stream it. I agree. This case doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. When you try to figure it out, it just doesn't make sense. And, Lynn, that is such a big thing because I think they left it open because I think the prosecution shot themselves in the foot at the arrest announcement when they said that they were that the case was still open and that that they were looking for possible other actors. Possible other actors are not suspects. They didn't say suspects. They said other actors. What does that mean to me? Is that somebody who possibly committed obstruction of justice because they withheld information, that they knew Richard Allen was there, that they knew he was there that day, that they knew he was the man on the bridge, and they just withheld that information? Is that what they were talking about? There's so many things yet that we still don't have answers to. And just because there's other actors doesn't mean there are other suspects that were actually there that day. It could be something else, other actors. To me, they would have used the word suspects. Words matter, you guys. Words matter. And when they're doing these types of press conferences, everything is scripted. Everything. They say things on purpose. Law enforcement had compelling evidence it is Richard Allen. They have to protect the community. He needs locked up to protect others and himself. Yeah. Oh yeah, CJK. Somebody out there is gonna. Yeah, I bet you there will be somebody out there that tries to put it on their channel. I'm sure they will. Frank said he's still looking at the timeline again. I don't think we have. I think we're missing something. And that's just me. I felt it all along. And I still do. I don't think we've got it right. Miranda says it could be how Alan knew Abby and Libby, where they were there that day, and if they were targeted or not. And it could be. It certainly, absolutely could be how he found that out, that information out. If that's the truth. If he knew they were going to be there that day and he went there that day for that very reason. And I don't know. I know that I won't be shocked by anything else in this case. I don't think anything that happens could shock me at this point. There's been so much that's happened that I would never have expected in this case. I mean, come on. Yeah. And True Crimes, or Frank Meister says, the first hearing that he saw him in person, yes, he resembles what we see as Bridge Guy. And you have to remember, he gained a lot of weight after Bridge Guy's photo came out and that video came out on the bridge. He changed his appearance. He changed his appearance. He grew a beard, goatee, whatever you want to say, grew it long. I mean, he changed his appearance, you guys. That is not the same guy that we saw in court that was almost 6 years before. Look at the pictures of him. In my opinion, if Keegan Kline had been there, that phone would not have been there found or would have been factory reset, in my opinion. My personal opinion is if Keegan Kline had been there, they would have evidence of that by now. That's my opinion. Frank says he thinks the voice sounds like it as well. He's heard him speak. And Stephanie says, why hurt 2 children? He has to be a child predator, just was never caught. And it's very possible. You know, they're all around us, you guys. Child predators are among us. They are with us every single day. We don't even know. And the ones that go uncaught is frightening, because to me, that's what it's about. Just because you see all the ones that are captured and the ones that are found guilty and put in prison, think of all of the ones who aren't. All the ones who are out there hurting children each and every day that never get talked about and are never told on. I mean, it's frightening. And yes, he admitted he was Bridge Guy. I was there that day. I don't think that he's actually ever came out and said he was bridge guy, but he admitted it in a roundabout way. Yes, Lynn, I have always said when state police spokesperson from the Lafayette Post did that upload at 10 p.m. Indiana time, been 3 years now, 3 years ago or whenever it was, they didn't ask us about Keegan Kline. They asked us about Anthony Schatz. They didn't ask us anything about Keegan Kline. And they didn't ask us for who created the profile. They asked us for any knowledge of the profile or if you have been asked or met with the Anthony Schatz profile. That was the information police were looking for. So they were not asking for information directly on Keegan Kline. And we can thank a podcast for picking up and running as fast as they could with the Keegan Kline story. I mean, we all did. And I think we wanted so badly for it to be something that we made it into a lot of things, that we wrote a lot of the narrative as podcasters and content creators and channel followers and social media advocates. We wanted so badly to catch the person who did this, and it was the first ring of possible suspect that we had in the case, and everybody just went crazy with it. Logan was a POS. He fit the FBI profile, best friends with a now convicted serial killer and his father. DUIs, alcoholic, liar, hosted dope and booze parties, domestic violence against women, and liked young girls or young women. Yeah. Young girls. I mean, yeah, you guys, was Ron Logan a bad dude? Yeah, he wasn't the best. I mean, he wasn't a person that I would have wanted to hang out with. It's not a person that I would have cared to know. But just because he has all of that background doesn't mean that he did this crime. I'm making you cry. Who's making you cry? I hope not. I definitely think that this crime is sexually motivated as well. I firmly believe that this crime is sexually motivated. I think that the profilers believe that. Law enforcement, we are looking for the driver of a car at the CPS building, Rick Whistling Dixie. So they had the car. They didn't know who the driver was. And I bet you they figured it was Bridge Guy. And they needed somebody to tell them. Kristen clearly stated that he believes other actors could be involved. Yes. the FBI had seen the Ron Logan types who were capable of this type of crime. I do not blame the FBI for wrongful thoughts on Ron Logan. I don't either. They were doing their jobs. We would not want them to do anything other than what they did. Oh, thousands of people have been arrested for CP in Indiana. I'm surprised the new attorneys are going down the Odinist route. I think it's because they have no defense. I agree. I don't believe they have anything to defend him for, and especially with the admissions that he's made. And I just don't believe that them being able to go back and say that he was out of his right mind when he made those admissions is going to hold water. I don't think that they feel that that's going to fly. So really the only thing that they can do is try to bring others into the mix. And I've thought that all along, you guys, that was what was going to happen no matter when the case was adjudicated with a suspect. I never for once thought that a defense team wouldn't go back and start pulling names out of the hat that's been danced around all over social media for 7 years. And what is sad to me is that we are looking at the 7th anniversary of this crime, and it's too long. It's too long. And I know that Abby and Libby are living a better existence where they are now. I believe that because of my faith. But at the same time, they want justice for what happened to them. And they deserve it. And the family that's left with the horrific, deep and open wound of their babies gone, they deserve it. No, Stephanie, he doesn't want his new lawyers. He wants the old ones. He wants his old lawyers back. That's why we're going to go to this. That's why he's going to the Supreme Court, because he wants them reinstated. I can't imagine healing from something like this. You're always reminded every single day of your loss. You don't heal. You learn to move through your grief and try to find joy when you can. But the wound is there. And it scabs over. But that scab can be torn and bleeding again at just a small thing that you would never even really truly consider. I mean, people have asked me over and over, how do you go on after the death of a child? And, you have to find a way. Some people don't find a way. Some people are consumed with drugs and alcohol. Some people take their lives. Some people never get out of the grief itself. They can't function. They don't move on at all. It's a very difficult road. It's not something that I would ever want anyone to have to go through. And when you have to live it in a public domain, it's even harder. When people expect things from you, when I was dealing with my son and his cancer, and we were in the spotlight all the time on the news and in the newspaper, and he was always being talked about locally and whatever. People would mean well, but you were constantly being inundated with advice and how to move on, or how to do this or how to do that. And you can't give advice on something you've never been through. And that's just kind of how I feel. I mean, I've really felt that way all the years it's taken me to get where I'm at in my grief walk. I've sat in so many hours of counseling and talking to experts and talking to people. And the most comfort I get is talking to other parents who have gone through what I have and have buried their child. And that's not saying anything bad against people who try to understand that's not been there, but you don't get it, and you can't. You just don't understand that hell. And so that's one of the reasons why I was so angry about the YouTubers that were talking about Anna and calling out all about everything that has transpired this year with Anna. Because it's like, until you walk in those shoes of her, don't come to me and talk to me about what she's done or isn't doing or whatever. Just don't. I feel the same way about Carrie, because it's kind of like, she is still the mother of a child who was viciously murdered. And it's just, I'm just over all of that. And it just makes me sad. It hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart. Because they're not in it for the right reasons, you guys, or they wouldn't be talking about that kind of stuff. They're just trying to get people to watch and make money. See what they can make money on YouTube. I'm here to tell you, I've been doing this now for 2 years, and you don't make money on YouTube unless you're huge. Unless you are a huge channel and your gray hue's huge and you're demanding, your subscribers and your members to pay so much money every time you broadcast. Then maybe you're making some money. But for the little guys, we don't make money on YouTube. And I never started this to make money on YouTube. People who are not associated with this case have said that the murder sheet solved this case. I've seen it. I've seen them talk about it on court TV. I've seen them talk about it every time they're interviewed. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. And any of us who's been following this case since day one, which they haven't, by the way, hello, they haven't. Hey, Mark, I was just thinking about you today. How are you? So good to see you. How are you? Are you enjoying college basketball as much as CJK and I are? I bet you are. But this case has brought out the worst and the best in people. And I'm just like, I wish the people that are here for the wrong reasons would go find something else to do. Ah, so you were at the game, were you? I bet you had a good time. Well, congratulations on the win. Good Lord, CJK, no wonder you're talking so much in here. Who are they playing? I wasn't paying attention. I didn't see who KU was playing tonight. It is shameful and disrespectful. And it's disrespectful to the girls. And I will shout that until I can't shout anymore. I will. So Cecil was in here. If Cecil's still here, they wanted to know how the spiders are doing. Oh, you went to a friend's house and watched it? There you go. That's just as great. I actually I like those kind of moments. They're playing Oklahoma State. Yeah, we're into that. We're into that conference play now. Yeah, I agree, Gail. If you're not here for justice, for the girls, go away. Oh, same here. When Arizona's not doing well, you can definitely tell by my voice. You can definitely tell by my voice. They should not have lost to Washington State. I was not a happy woman. I was not a happy woman. Thank you, 63 Clocks, for being here. I appreciate you so much. Take good care of yourself as well, and we'll see you soon. But yeah, my spiders are doing fantastic. And they're all doing well. One YouTuber made the situation with Anna all about himself and yelled that nobody offered to help him when he went through the same thing. Oh, good Lord. Thanks, Mark. I hope so. I hope so. I don't want a repeat of last year. I don't want them out in the first round, that's for sure. I mean, they are really good, and I really want them to play up to par. We need the consistency. That's what we need. So, but guys, that's what I had tonight. I really I was I just wanted to talk about Thursday and what's going to be happening. I was embarrassed by the creators who felt it necessary to call out legal issues from victims' parents and family. How does this help the case? It doesn't. Doesn't help the case at all. To me, that's tabloid journalism, and all it is a smear campaign. And the only reason they did it was because they wanted to get people to watch. They did it for views. And the families have been through so much, and they're still going through it. And that's just the way it is. I love you too, Purdue. I love you too. I love all you guys. You guys are so great. And we always have a good conversation. And I'm sorry, Mark, you just got in on the tail end of it, but I hope you go back and watch the live. But the Cowboys are there. I've seen so many good memes about the Cowboys this year. And that they are consistent. They get to the playoffs and they lose. Oh, thank you, GP. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. The what is it? Where was it? I missed it. Hold on a second. This case has revealed those without moral conscience. For sure. For sure. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you. Always appreciate you. I hope you're staying warm over there in Indiana, because we're freezing our tushes off over here in Illinois. It is so, so cold. But anyway. Yeah, I know. I wanted the Chiefs to play at home. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. They're my team after the Bears. So no, don't make fun of me for being a Bears fan. Been a Bears fan all my life. I will always be a Bears fan. But yeah, I'm also a Chiefs fan. Oh, goodness. But anyway, you guys, I hope you all have a really, really good night. And we'll see what happens on Thursday. I promise you that I will be up on it. I will post to my community page as I can, highlights if for those who can't see what's going on, and then we'll talk about it soon, about what happens. The Bears. The 85 Bears are my team. They were unbelievable that year. What they did was incredible, and I loved all those guys. Thanks, Purdue. I appreciate you. I hope you're right, Lynn. I hope Thursday makes all these evil people go away. I have a feeling it's not gonna, but I hope it does. Yep, the Super Bowl shuffle. So I was really hoping McMichael made the Hall of Fame this year. I was so sad that he didn't. But I was hoping he would. He's really sick. That was the Super Bowl shuffle. You know, I don't have my sunglasses here, but I got my readers. They had their sunglasses on, I think. Yeah, the fridge, the refrigerator. Oh. But anyway, guys, I hope you all have a good weekend. Try to stay safe out there. It's freezing. Make sure that when you're out and about, you guys plan for it. Make sure you plan for your car breaking down and all of those things. And we'll catch back up really, really soon. And hopefully this case starts to move forward really quickly. But have a great week, and good night, everybody. Much love to all of you.